guys, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Today's video is inspired by some pretty heartfelt emails and comments that we have received from people who have just reached out to us saying, how can you even afford to prepare? How can I afford to stock food? Or more commonly, we get comments saying, well, that's great, but I can't afford that. Or that's great, I don't have the space. Just like the desire, we're seeing the desire to want to achieve a lot of the different skills and resources and things that we present on this channel, but there being some sort of stumbling block that is keeping people, these viewers, from achieving that goal or that skill or that resource. And one of the main kind of obstacles is money. So I want to just have a really quick heart-to-heart chat about how do we prepare for hard times when budgets are so tight. How do we stock up on food when inflation is through the roof? How can we afford some of the resources that could really bless our family during emergency situations or during just lean seasons, during job loss? I mean, just during all these different things. How can we go ahead and prepare for that even when we feel so constrained by budgets? So let's chat about that today. Welcome to Food Prep Guide. My name is Jordan. I'm a homeschooling mom to 3, living on 3 beautiful acres with my wonderful husband. A health crisis forced our family to change the way we think about food. Unfortunately, it also put us in financial hardship. Thankfully, the solution to both challenges was the same: to live off the land as much as possible. For us, that means growing a garden, preserving the harvest, raising chickens, and cooking from scratch. It's definitely a family affair. And friends, too. Meet Stacy, researcher, author, and lifelong learner. She entered the world of food preservation in the crazy days of 2020. She joined a gleaning co-op, and a local grocer offered her clearance produce in bulk, and so the adventure began. Together, we're reclaiming the old ways of food stewardship and teaching them to the next generation. If there's one thing you should know about us, it's that we love Jesus and seek to steward his blessings wisely. Our table always has room for one more, so y'all come join us. So just some quick information about our family so that you can kind of know where I am coming from, the place that I am talking from. So we are a family of 5. My husband is the primary breadwinner. And if you were to go to the U.S. government's website for the poverty line, if you look at our family size and you look at our salary, we are below the poverty line. Now, if you were to come to my house and look around my homestead, and you're already in my kitchen plenty of times, you see the equipment that I use, you would probably never guess that we live below the poverty line. But more than that, several years ago, I faced a medical crisis that put us in kind of a mountain of debt because of my diagnosis was not covered by insurance. And I chose to go the natural route. And, well, let's just say natural doctors make you pay up front for everything. Every pill, every supplement, you know, your diet, all organic, you know, everything that came with that medical diagnosis really kind of put us into, it brought on a lot of debt. So we were already below the U.S. poverty line, and then you combine a mountain of debt with those two things, and you take away my ability to work because of the medical crisis, and our family was in a very tight spot. We're doing a whole lot better today, but we are still technically below that poverty line, and we are still living extremely frugally to get 100% debt-free. That is our goal. So that's just a little bit about me so that you kind of know where I'm coming from. So I want to share with you pretty much the #1 strategy that allows us to not only live within our means, but acquire tools and resources that really allow us to live the lifestyle that we live, of trying to grow most of our own vegetables, trying to raise our own meat, you know, homeschooling, so me not having a job and me not having a 9-to-5 job out in the public sphere, just all of those things. And that strategy is using our monthly grocery budget as a savings account. You have probably heard me mention this a little bit here and there. I don't think I've ever really dived really deep into it and kind of explained what I mean. So I want to very quickly explain that, and then I want to give you an example of what that looks like in real life, which is what this big box is here behind me in case you're curious. So when I am saying using our grocery budget as a savings account, I mean we have transferred our pantry into a Whole Foods pantry and gotten away from going to the grocery store and simply buying what we feel like eating that week or even that day or even that month. We have really transitioned into a year-round pantry where we pretty much have most of what we need on hand except for dairy and some meats, but we pretty much have on hand what we need, approximately a year's supply, to cook from scratch and eat mostly whole food meals year round. Now, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. I would not be able to do that for sure without my garden. So gardening is a huge part of that, but let's pretend you don't garden, you can't garden for one reason or another. Simply learning the seasonal produce and buying that seasonal produce in bulk in large quantities and preserving it when it is at its absolute rock bottom lowest price, so that you don't ever have to buy that ingredient year for the whole year until it's at its rock bottom price the next year. So that's the alternative to gardening if you can't. But let me give you an example of what I mean by using your grocery budget as a savings account. So several months ago, we had a very unexpected bill arrive in our mailbox that it just completely, like, we thought insurance was totally covering it. It was a medical bill. We totally thought insurance was covering it. We did not save for this. We didn't set anything aside for it. It was just boom, it's in our mailbox. Here it is. You have 30 days to pay. And we had no resources to take care of that. So what I did was I turned to my pantry and I redid my meal plan for that month to where our normal grocery budget of $500 a month for our family of 5, I was able to get that down to $150 for that whole month for our family of 5, which then opened up $350 just like that to pay that bill without having to dip and look anywhere else for that resource. And the only way that I can do that is by having a well-stocked pantry. And that is actually one of the reasons I am so passionate about what we teach here on Food Prep Guide YouTube channel of gardening and food preservation, dehydrating, canning, all of those things, because it's not just about feeding our family wholesome foods. It really does have an impact on our day-to-day ability to gather things that we need, to pay bills, to improve our lifestyle, improve our homestead, improve our family with tools that allow us to work smarter and not harder, or to be more efficient, and to not have to be so labor intensive for tasks that if I just had this one thing, that task would take 10 minutes versus 2 hours. Using that grocery kind of savings account has allowed us to really invest in those types of things. One of those things is emergency power. When you start looking into how to power, when you lose power, how are you going to stay warm in the winter, stay cool in the summer, power like a CPAP machine, power an oxygen tank, those things that are critical to your well-being. I'm not talking about luxuries like making coffee in a coffee pot, which I know for a lot of people that is totally a necessity. But I'm just talking about the types of power sources that we need to sustain life fairly comfortably. When you start researching how to get power that way, you're pretty much looking at generators or solar, and that is expensive. Pretty much that whole field is just, it's an investment, and it can be hard when you are already feeling strapped, you're already feeling squeezed by inflation. How in the world do you start to even think about preparing for emergencies and how you're gonna still have power? For us, we live on a well. If you live on a well, you know that when your power goes out, your water goes out. Water is life. You know, when you start looking into how you're going to remedy those things when the power is out, it can just be very overwhelming to the budget. I was just very recently made aware of a not new, but a somewhat comparatively newer option in the world of off-grid power when the emergency situation, when the power is out, and that is a portable power bank, which is what you see behind me. The brand is Aferiy, and I want to be completely transparent and open with you that they sent me this for my honest review, and I'm so glad that they did. I mean, obviously it's a blessing. It is something that I no longer am going to have to come out of a paycheck. So it is a blessing in that regard, and I want to be transparent about that. But I will tell you that emergency power source has been on my list for an extremely long time. We have a generator, but we have had to use it multiple times because of power outages from storms, extended power outages, multiple days. And the rate at which you move through gas and or propane is insane with those generators. So I have, despite having a generator, I have still been researching and trying to look at my options for this. So this portable power bank is comparatively affordable to your other options out there when you're looking at generators, solar panel system, solar generators, all of those things. This is a much more budget-friendly option. And I wanted to bring this option to you right now, like when this video is publishing, because it's the time of year. We know we're coming up to Black Friday. Y'all know how all the companies do. They all, you know, it's a huge marketing thing where they drop the price. And in some ways it's worth it, and in some ways it's just a gimmick, and you know, it's just a sale that you should probably ignore. But in this case, this is one of those situations when you can take advantage, if you're able, if you can swing it, you can take advantage of manufacturers significantly dropping their rates to celebrate the Black Friday season. So that's why I'm bringing you this video today, because that's going on with this. The price is already dropped. They have Black Friday specials going on top of the already reduced price. The link for this will be in the description box below, and you can check that out. But I'm going to bring you up close and just tell you a little bit about how this works. How do you power stuff with it? How does it recharge and all of that stuff? Okay, so bottom line, this thing charges either through a regular wall outlet or through solar. So you have your regular, excuse me, my phone's not, there you go. Your regular wall outlet here, and you have solar here. Now obviously you're using this when you don't have power, so what does the wall outlet do? Well, you charge this before an emergency situation comes up, and then you keep it in your house so that when an emergency situation comes on, you can press this button and you have 100% charge, and you can start plugging things in and go. So what this does is it powers, you have your 12 volt, you have two options for a 12 volt, you got a cigarette lighter, you have your USB chargers here, you have some USB-C chargers here, so all of your, basically your cell phones, your laptops, that kind of thing will charge down here. But the part that I am most excited about is all of the 110 outlets that are over on this side of the device. It has 6. You can see it has 610 outlets here, which anything you plug into a wall, this thing can power. Now, depending on how much of an energy, kind of an energy sucking device it is, will depend on how much time you're going to get out of this machine. But it can power a refrigerator. It can power a window AC unit. It can power a heater. It can power a camp stove, an electric camp stove, like a 2i burner right here. Those are the types of things that will allow you to cook, that will keep you warm in the winter, keep you cool in the summer. You can plug in any kind of medical devices that plugs in a wall outlet. You can plug it in here, and it's just, it's peace of mind, and it's more, I was about to say it's convenience, but it's more than convenience, but it is convenience, because technically I could go start a fire, throw a griddle, a cast iron griddle plate over it, and cook over an open fire. But when it's 32 degrees outside, how much better is it for me to be able to plug this in, a 2i burner in over there, and start cooking? So I just wanted to present this as a more budget-friendly option comparatively to all of the other type of power, emergency power options that are out there. One of the things that I really like about this machine, I haven't been able to use it in an emergency situation yet. I've only had it a couple days. But one of the things that I have kind of played around with is plugging in different devices and seeing how long like the remaining hours. So this output right here and time remaining tells you once you plug something in and you turn it on, let's say you plug in a heater and you turn it on, it will sense how much time you have left to power that particular heater. So it goes off automatically if nothing happens within a few minutes. So that's why that's just kind of automatic. That's like a safety feature. It has a cooling fan as another safety feature. It has a control, where is it? Over here. Yes, it has an overload protection here. So there's a lot of protections in here to keep this thing from either overheating, for the load to be higher than what the machine can handle. It has some automatic shut-off things, and just some safety features built into it. So I really appreciate that too. But for instance, I tested, like I would test putting up my oil-based heaters, which it's like those radiator type heaters, and like you plug it in, and let's say this drops down to 18 hours. So it says you can heat your house with this heater for 18 hours. But let's say you only heat your house for 3 hours to get the room to a good ambient temperature, and then unplug it. It's not that you only have 18 hours left total. This number will shoot way back up, and then you have more availability to power other things, if that makes sense. So I really appreciated this kind of countdown, because it kind of gives you an idea of how much energy you are using, because in a situation, an emergency situation, if you don't have the solar panel that hooks up to this, which I believe is a 400-watt solar panel, I do plan on bringing you a video of that soon. I will show you the entire solar panel setup and show you how it recharges with the solar panel, give you some use cases, and show you how different options and stuff that I plan on using it. I just don't have that yet. But if you don't have the solar panel and you are dependent on charging into a wall outlet, it also charges via your car, like a cigarette lighter. You can charge it in your car as well. So if you have gas in your car and you can crank your vehicle, you can charge this using that as well. So that's another option in an emergency situation. But anyway, let's say you don't have that solar and you need to, plug that in. It's going to be extremely important if you don't have power. Let's say you don't have gas in your car, you don't have the solar panel, and you're completely dependent on plugging it in to your house with power. It's going to be extremely critical to be able to watch your energy usage and see how much time you have left on that cooking stove, on that heater, on that AC unit, on that CPAP machine, whatever it is. So that's one of my favorite features, other than the fact that it powers during an emergency. Just really quick, it does have this light here. Excuse me, I pushed the wrong button. And you press it a couple more times and it does an SOS signal. But real quick, I want to, like I said, I'm going to be doing like a more detailed video with the solar, but I wanted to show you just how it works really quickly. I'm going to plug in my blender here and blend and demonstrate what I meant about the energy usage and how this number drops and then goes back up. So I'm going to turn on my blender and show you that it's working, but then I'm going to focus on this screen and I want you to watch that number. And let's see what happens with that. But it's plugged in. Let's turn it on. But okay, it's plugged in. We'll turn it on. In order to power this, each power item or option has an on button. So this is the on button for USBs. This is the on button for DC. This is going to be our on button for over here. So I'm going to push it. Now this is going to be able to operate. You can see it's on. I can turn it up higher. But let's come over here. I'm going to turn it on 3. That's like what I make my smoothies with. Let's come over here. Okay, so you can see that our output time remaining just dropped to 29 hours. That means I can run that blender at that speed. It has a bunch of cocoa on it from what I made earlier. But it can run at that speed for 29 more hours. But watch what happens when I turn that blender off. So I just made my smoothie, or I just made my soup. I'm blending up my soup, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's turn it off. Now let's come back over here and watch the output time. It just continues to climb. So that's kind of what I meant by like when you plug in a heater and you see that number drop, it's not that it's draining the battery that quickly. It's simply telling you, hey, you can run this specific device for this specific more amount of time. It's hovering around that 67, 67, 66, 68. It's kind of hovering around that area. So even though it dropped down a lot lower, it's coming back up, and I still have 67 hours, 68 hours to power something else. Okay, y'all, so I just really wanted to quickly share this kind of new to me product that I had no idea existed as a budget-friendlier option to those really expensive devices that are out there, because I know many of you have expressed interest in wanting to prepare for emergencies, but not really knowing quite how to go about that with budgets being so tight. And don't forget the power of your pantry for your budget. It doesn't have to just suck money out of you. If you plan strategically, and we have so many resources here on our YouTube channel to help you plan those meals strategically so that you can actually turn to your grocery budget at any given time, take $300, $400, $500 out of that grocery budget and still feed your family well because you have a well-stocked pantry. So as you are learning those canning skills, dehydrating skills, fermenting, gardening, you know, all of those skills, bear in mind that you're not simply putting shelf-stable food on your shelves. You are building a savings account that you can pull from when emergencies strike or as you are wanting to prepare for emergencies in the future situations. Okay, I hope that was helpful to you, and we will see you next time. Bye.